Hi, everybody. We are still in our cold snap. Hopefully, everyone is healthy out there in uh, visual audio world, whatever the language may be. And I hope everyone is attempting to just relax and do the best they can. I have a few questions here, and thank you for those who send in questions. We always are in need, of course, and they're certainly appreciated. This is one from Lee Martin. In terms of our spiritual development, could you elucidate John's, I'm assuming John 17, admonition to be in the world and not of it? This is quite an interesting statement. It's been used so many times as if people really understand what it means, and it's a little bit difficult to comprehend as an experience, often fairly easy to dialogue about, but the experience itself is a very important one and rare, to be honest. What you remember, John is focused on a Christian background, and he's talking about relating to higher states or Christ states. Um, when you're talking about being in alignment with those things, you're not talking about a theory, you're talking about the actual occurrence of something of that nature. And in that particular way of looking at things, John was looking at having to engage with life the way you normally do, but at the same time, not, or let me rephrase that, being susceptible through awareness, through the experience of interacting with a higher state consciously. This brings up all kinds of vulnerabilities in most people who are working on a day-to-day engagement with life, with family and social difficulties as they actually occur. And there are many, of course, as you all know. But somehow when we talk about this business of spirituality, suddenly everybody is talking about an engagement with spiritual energy, as if everybody knows what it's all about. And I have to admit, it's kind of the way we normally talk, but it's not necessarily real. John was talking about the reality of being involved in a flow, where that flow itself is engaging with him and helping him to do what that flow wanted him to do. At the same time, is functional in the world. So look at it from the reverse of this, being in that higher state, part of the world, but literally a bit dependent, one could say, or in alignment with a higher state at the same time. And this is not just a verbal rendering of it. It's a link up in a way that can only be cultivated by allowing the personality's natural tendency to be less in charge, less in control of what occurs. At the same time, subtly aware really aware of that flow passing through them and in them, and between that personality that's cultivated for such a thing to occur and the actual occurrence of it, there is an alignment. This came out of, especially in relationship to the day of Pentecost, where uh, higher states influence these disciples. One could say, in some parlance, these disciples were initiated into a higher state where getting their way was not as important as we tend to need to have it, generally speaking, across the world. And if we did not have, to some degree, even with our foibles, our a kind of sense of being at least in a little bit of charge, we would be exceedingly vulnerable to such a degree that we would be filled with fear. Now, that might be over exaggeration in the ears of some people, but it's not. So, how we reference this in our world is we act as if we are attempting to be in total charge, or even in relationship to what we consider uh, personality values in relationship to higher states. You are very valuable if you speak those words in accordance with the personality's theory about what it means. This is not what John meant. This is us attempting the best we can to allow ourselves to engage with the sense of being involved with a higher state. This is honestly a personality rendering of how you survive in the world. That is not what John meant. Little unfair for anyone who is trying to fulfill a classification of what a spiritual person might be. Because in this particular instance, as he was one of those who had a tremendous link with a higher state, as has occurred in any and every belief system. This is a key thing to say out loud, but doesn't take away from anyone having that occurrence, whatever their belief. This is something that's very difficult for us because we lean on beliefs for our survival, whether they be cultural, social, familial, whether they be just ones you make up yourself, an imaginative thing. But it may be helpful to you, as many who have gone to many therapists to kind of help them out a little bit because things weren't going as well as they wanted them to. It can go rather badly for anyone, even a very good person. This is some of the nature, not always, but some of the nature of how life can play out. In his case, he was not talking about life in a general way. He was talking about a very particular rendering of a living in a certain link or alignment with his particular awareness of that flow operating in him all the time. Therefore, he would lean on that because it was part of him, as you would lean on thinking that you have the right idea versus somebody else's idea, because that is the nature of your awareness and your respect for yourself, your inclination to value the you that you've constructed for the purpose of being engaging in a certain way with life, for the purpose of engaging that way. Not necessarily is that negative. It's just what many people do, most of us do, in relationship to how you act or act out, meaning basically the same thing in life. So his engagement was, he was speaking about being under the influence of a higher state and in still walking around in life, but not a part of the natural tendencies that he had had before and most others have. This is a very valuable question because it is very provoking in that one could say they were spiritual, had a spiritual inclination, but this is a different kind of engagement with that higher state that he is talking about. Many others have talked about that and lived it, but normal folk, us normal folk, would maybe understand it a little bit, but maybe not always be in it because of the nature of us to align with our own way of seeing the world. And by the way, defending our right to do so. He has blended with the higher state. And he's engaging with that higher state. He can go to the bathroom. He can brush his teeth if they brushed their teeth at that time. Often they had sticks that were very soft and fuzzy kind of thing. If you touch them to a hard tooth, they would kind of blend a bit, break down so that you could brush your teeth that way. Or you could use your finger. However you thought, one thought they might be able to brush their teeth. Sidebar. Sorry about that. The second question, I hope, Lee, that makes some sense to you. But the second question is from David Wimble in Ottawa here. He says, can you tell us the purpose of doing the color breath meditation? I don't know if any of you still have access to that or do it. If you have, you might have had that in a cassette, and if it's not workable, let us know and we'll.
It's on a CD.
It's on a CD, I know. It wasn't on cassette, Marlene? Yeah, okay. So hopefully you've tried it a few times. And does that have any connection with the rainbow light body you talked about a couple of weeks ago? There are sometimes little things that I say that I wish I hadn't said. One of them is the rainbow light body. And I did talk about it a couple of weeks ago. And that occurs when you're moving towards the idea of dying to these planes physically. And that happens from the inside out. It has nothing to do at all with some goal that you should attempt to attain. It has everything to do with just continuing on and attempting to be and do as you can in relationship to inner growth. Can you tell us the purpose of doing the color breath meditation? Yeah, I'll do my best with that. The color breath meditation in itself was set up so instead of creating colors with your mind with some intensity, which utilize your root, your gonad center, and your solar plexus, what we're trying to do is get you to remember an image, not cultivate, just remember in a flash, in a second, a color of an image that might be red, might be blue, like a red apple, like a green apple, like something blue, a blue sweater, a blue jacket, cup, I don't care what it was. Something yellow, something orange, something light blue, purple, violet, so that you could pause a second internally, allow a mental occurrence, not a creation, through mind that allowed you to pause, remember, stay aware, let go, next one. And the reason for that was to increase the allowance of a pause. And whether you knew that you did that or not automatically, you did. And in that pause, there's a hesitation where nothing is there. It's very quiet. And then you remember something. And in that process of memory, there's no intensity. You remember object red, blue, object blue. Whatever, it would be the easiest thing for you to do so that you could let control soften, because you didn't have to push to remember something. And in doing that, you are cultivating, especially when you're engaging in trying to understand how you, or consider how you function on a day-to-day basis, it creates a second or two so you can see or watch what you do with no judgment attached to it, no elevation attached to it. You're just observing something. In doing that, you put at rest your solar plexus, your emotional dispositional structure, your will, your gonad center, and the need to be validated by it, that good old root center stuff. And what you then become aware of was it can occur. You didn't do anything. You just remembered. And the remembering can be in a second. Watching can be quiet and in a second. I know out there you'll say, well, I can't find the color yellow, and I do. Think of the sun. Think of anything that relates to that color. Be creative. And then you meditate and let go, which perhaps can extend that pause even greater, just a little bit longer before the influence of those three natural, wondrous centers that help cultivate this personality so it can function here at these planes, at these levels, can then interact and come up with, oh, I'm not meditating as well, or I'm not doing this as well. I didn't get the right color for that red. It should have been a more of this color. All of that stuff is to remind you that the need to be attentive and cultivate something to remind you of you and how you can react or interact is very valuable to you. By now, it's quite possible that you might know that because the actual engagement that you have is automatic. You've been doing it for so long. That includes natural emotional reactions, natural physical responses, all of this stuff, which is our day-to-day practice. So that is really key. And the act of no judgment is really key as well. So that's what I do. Oh, sometimes, because you don't do it all the time. Often you don't, whatever you might notice. Your noticing is not to engage with a judgment or an assessment. Your engagement is just to notice, just to be aware. It broadens awareness. If you do it the other way, it broadens judgment, broadens the assessment, puts you up, puts you down, gives you a hard time in some way. Only because you practiced it. Is it possible that you can eradicate all of that stuff? Not at these planes, but you can make an impact on them. You can slow them down. You can soften them. You can be kind. You can gentle things down. It isn't always easy to do that, but it is an aspect of how we can function. To do such a thing enables you to understand or move towards understanding others better than your first cue and your first jump to assess others based on the training that you've had. Once again, family stuff, social stuff, cultural stuff. Understanding a deeper level includes a willingness to go beyond what you already believe. Has to be true. Otherwise, something is wrong with you. You could call that a little wiser, but I think all of us have those reflexes in us because they have been cultivated, not because it's negative, but to try and help you survive and function in a world at this level. I hope that helps a little, David. Let's see what we're doing here. Okay. So here's another question from Lee. Hope I had this one right. Regarding the life map and asking for help for others. I'm having a lot of trouble in determining how best to approach this practice. How do we choose which of our 8 billion co-inhabitants of Earth to life map? Yet don't. First question. I'll elucidate, I hope. Is it appropriate to single out those we know and or love to do the life map on? Let me kind of slow that one down. I'll say yes, but remember, it's not you that's doing the work. I know this is counter to how some people think. It's the letting go of you to let a higher state do the work. This is why, one of the reasons why opening the hands becomes really important. And this is a valuable piece of engagement. If you had the capacity to open another center, for example, the heart center, which, by the way, is impacted upon by setting up to do the light map, you'd be aware in front of the chest about a foot to a foot and a half. Soften right down until it almost feels like you're empty, but still aware. Bring your attention towards the chest and out the back of you. Don't pay attention to the body, it's not necessary. Out the back about a foot or a foot and a half, roughly. Draw your attention up behind the neck, behind the head, still off the body, and into the area above the head. I would say about 4 to 6 inches. You're probably tired of hearing that. Then be aware right here at this level, just for a second or two, and drop your attention into the area just north of between the eyebrows. These two levels link after a bit. But if you focus about here, if everyone can see this, then reach off in front of your brow about a foot or so, and then drop your attention back down to the hands in front of your chest. You have your hands like this, you've opened the hands, and that's a start. Now your hands will get stronger as you practice opening them more. Also, they'll get stronger as they link up with even the slightest bit of opening in the throat, the brow, or the crown center. Those centers will draw energy through the system from the lower system because you're still involved with it. You are attempting to just set yourself up for this practice. When the hands are focused towards each other, they turn each other on. If you have a little opening in the hands and they tingle a bit, they will both begin to tingle. If the hands begin to be really a lot stronger, they will also affect each other. Then if you create a vortex, which is just doing this, you can touch them and then pull them apart a bit. Pay attention to the hands and what you're doing and ask for help for the whole of the planet, because this is what you're talking about and its inhabitants. That's all you do. And you stay there. You can stay there for a few seconds, maybe 10, 15, 20 seconds, if that's what it'll make you feel as if you're doing something. Then notice what happens in the body and in the hands. It'll increase the energy flow. It's not about you having your flow increased. It's about the energy being able to come in and express itself towards the whole of the planet, individuals, or the planet itself. But let yourself relax a bit, almost like a meditation. That would be really helpful if you can focus away from yourself and just ask for help in the way that that higher state knows would be helpful. I usually ask also that it be gentle, balanced, and appropriate. I find that that is important. I would want that to happen to me. Therefore, why would I not want it to happen to others? That any growing internally would be gentle, balanced, and appropriate. And in a manner that would be helpful to them. Memorizing words, fine. But being sincere in the moment, pulling back a bit from the importance of you for doing it, is a major key in allowing energy to flow through. Now, then you pay attention to what's happening in you and let go. Continue. Let go. And then soften down. You can do the same thing for others, but it's not about you knowing where they need the help. It's not about you sending the help. It's about that link that you were talking about in John, engaging and flowing through for the purpose of being helpful in a way that it would know would be truly helpful for an individual. Asking that is letting go of you having done something very important. This is not about you. Another trick that I think is helpful is after asking for help for another, ask for help in the same way for you. It'll keep you humble and maybe a little, it'll keep you honest. And of course, I'm talking to everybody who's listening or will ever listen here. And I'm not negating anybody's method of doing things, but it's one that I think is extremely valuable. And also, it helps you to become a little bit more aware of that energy flowing through you. It's not the personality has done this and now I've helped them. Sooner or later, you get to know that that higher state is engaging in the way that it is relative to whoever it is you are asking for help for. I hope this is a little bit helpful. Let's see if I missed anything. You also say, but even with that, one can spend their time life mapping, all their time life mapping. Do it. Be sincere for a minute or two and let go. Walk around, do whatever you do. Just do it. Remember, it's not you having to pay attention to it with your setup. It's that setup helps you to be aware of the fact that there's something real in this. The more you do it, the more you really know it's true. Best wishes. I hope it works for you. How are we doing? Yes, here is another question from Sonia Nigam in Ottawa. And she says, lately, when I sit to meditate and I turn my hands on, my hands actually hurt. I notice this as I begin to consciously relax my body by relaxing my jaw, my tongue, my neck. For me, it feels like an expansion of space in the hands. The hands, in their own good time, are instruments. They're tools. And we're not normally used to the expansion of these chakras in the hands. In the ancient workings of Hinduism and Buddhism, these instruments were extremely important. Excuse me, I have something right over top of there we go. And it's not finished yet. Okay, well, it seems to be finished. I sometimes get these notices coming across the front of the screen. So anyway, the hands will sometimes have an aspect of that center come on that wasn't on before, and there can be little jabs, or they can be very hot, uh, and then they cool down. The jab goes away, and but they have many levels, and these levels, as I said, in Hindu and Buddhist background, and other backgrounds too, people use this healing method in Christianity as well, and no doubt in other systems. But the more energy that flows through these hands, the more it affects. And these are chakras, small little chakras in the fingers, in anywhere where there's creases, there are small little, tiny little chakras, energy stuff. Not important to know all that stuff, but is important if you perceive them to realize, they're opening a little bit more. Ooh, that can be a little strong. Yeah, okay, it's fine. Slowly, and sometimes not so slowly, they affect the major centers that go all the way through the system, the physical personalized system, because the personalized system is cultivated through energy or in energetic form. So when these systems come on fairly strong, you may have them, for example, in front of your chest, upper part of the chest, hopefully, and it begins to stimulate what is natural in you a little bit more, so you can perceive that, because it's been, let's say, there is a linking between the energy through the hands and the energy operating through the whole system, an aligning. Most of us are so used to energy, we don't call it that. We're used to our bodies, we're used to how we engage, or maybe allow ourselves to move our hands in funny ways so we can speak. I'm not sure, sometimes they're in control of the tongue. Just joking. So this link up helps us to be aware of what's going on in our bodies sometimes, through our bodies, because it affects awareness. Your conscious awareness is stronger. And then it's not, because you're back to, it's like a shifting elevator. You become more and more aware, and then under some circumstances, the awareness drops and the focus is on this world. And then when you're relaxing and trying to do something else, the awareness increases. And then suddenly your awareness is back on this world. You want to go and do this, you want to go and do that. These kinds of things are kind of reflexive. To be aware of both levels at the same time is what you're attempting to practice. So for me, it feels like an expansion of space in the hands. It's true. It can feel like you have big areas of space around you, around the hands, arms, body, extensions off the body. And in some schools, that's supposed to be really elegant, really spiritual. It's an engagement with energy. You're perceiving it. Good. Let go. Be aware of it. Anytime you notice it, recognize it. Take stock. Continue with life. Just as if it wasn't there, but you know it is. Eventually, the two places become stronger, almost like a blend, where you're aware of both places at the same time. You're aware that you're lifting a cup to have a sip of water, tea, whatever it happens to be, but you're aware of that energy while you're doing that. You're on your computer, you're aware of doing that, but you're aware of energy at the same time. You're reading a book, you're aware of the book and attending, learning how to attend, and be aware of the energy at the same time. This is a rendering or helpful in understanding that you are truly an energy being. And you have many levels to discover. And as soon as I say that, of course, the personality might perk up. Not necessarily in your case, Sonia, but in many of our cases, oh, look at that. I'm really able. That makes me more able than anybody else, blah, blah, blah. It's all personality protection. It's not about that. It's more about, can you handle energy flowing through you for the purpose of being helpful to someone else who is engaged with learning, knowingly or not knowingly at all, that is one of the renderings that occurs in the process of spiritualization. Just a thought. So I was wondering about what happens when we turn the hands on. Is there a greater flow of energy into the hands, or is there a greater perception of the energy in the hands? And it turns on the hands, helps to stimulate energy in the body. Do you mean awareness of energy in the body or actual flow of energy in the body? Both. Awareness, aware of energy as it is engaging in the body and through the body. Also, you begin to be aware, related to location sometimes, that you recognize that there are some centers on, because that's the probable location of a center. If you feel it behind your head or in front of your brow, in front of your chest, behind your chest, your belly, your eyes, you make a notation. But remember, they come on in different levels. The softer, the more subtle. The glowing, peaceful orientation is extremely subtle. Very difficult to notice. But if you're at that engaging level, you'll notice whatever is subtle to you. It can be really strong because your intensity, natural tendency inside, is relative to that tension that each and every one of us uses to engage with these particular planes. There's no negation in these things. It's all very positive, very constructive, and very valuable. Learning about these things through experience, as you are, is kind of frustrating because you don't always come up with an answer that's perfect relative to how you normally used to think. This is the nature of us. And we grow within that nature, slowly beginning to broaden out our understanding. And it's difficult to let previous understandings go altogether, because these are the things that help us to engage regularly and reasonably efficiently from time to time with life. So there's a broader look at these things that can be had. Still, you have to engage with life relative to any given situation. It is true that sometimes it's difficult to negotiate that element between negotiating, getting everything the way you think they should be, and paying close attention to higher states or different states that we become aware of. There are so many views on these things. Go slow. Be okay with you. And recognize that these things are occurring when you do. You say, that may be what it is. You can have your ears come on. Two small centers right here, connected through the back of the neck, roughly around the oblongata. And you'll say, my neck is tender today. And in fact, in 15 minutes, there's nothing there at all. Or an intensity that is different than what you had yesterday. Soften down. Easy does it. Go slow. Be respectful to yourself and to others. Truly, it will help. It's not just some bunch of words. Do the best you can with it. It's not going to be perfect. Not meant to be. Because you're observing and understanding how a human being lives on these planes. Prior to that, you probably never gave it any thought. Now you're looking at it and saying, wow, so this is what happens on these planes. Or not. Let me see if here's another one. How does the feeling of expansion of space in the body fit into all of this? I think I mentioned something. It's an increase in awareness to include what is already there in these levels. But you shift the level a little bit and you can perceive another level of your engagement with life. And it's relative to the form, emotional, mental, but also at levels beyond the personality orientation as well. Because we are a being of consciousness, a being of energy. I hope that helps a little bit. And I would ask those of you who are out there to consider sending some more questions. I'm getting pretty thin at this level right now. Not physically, of course, but definitely without any doubt. Questions are a little lean. I look forward to next Thursday, and I look forward to this upcoming meditation, which will be in about a minute or two once we get settled. Good night, everybody. I wish you well. Take care of yourselves.
Shakti Sundari Namastasye 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 Namo Mahamaye Mangali Namastasye 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 Namo Mahakali Bhairavi Namastasye 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 Namo Mahalakshmi Vaishnavi Namastasye 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 Namo Ma Saraswati Brahmi Namastasye 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 Namo Durga Devi Shankari Namastasye 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 Namo Shive. Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Ma Bhavani Ambike Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Annapurna Lakshmi Ma Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Kamala Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Tvam Brahmani Gayatri Namastasye, 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 namo Tvam Tripura Sundari Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Namastasye, 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 namo Tvam Raja Rajeshwari Namastasye, 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 namo Bhagavati Bhargavi Namastasye, 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 namo Bhakti Varade Namastasye, 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 namo Maya Vishwamohini Namastasye, 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 namo Ishwari Narayani Namastasye, 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 namo Namastasye, 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 namo Jagadambe Janani Namastasye, 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 namo Nam Ananda Sagari Namastasye, 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 namo Sarvamangalamangale Shive Sarvarthasadhike Sharanye Triambake Devi Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute Narayani Namostute
We can now begin to do the balancing and grounding. I hope everyone is well on this eve of the remembrance of the Holocaust. And remind yourself that all life is really worth everything, truly of great value. Good night, everybody.